Radio. Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to a happy Thursday. And this edition of Seriously Kam, I've got my very, very good friend, Asha Gill, in the house. Hi, Asha. Can I just say that you look every much the bit of your traveling videos? You look exactly like that. Oops, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can.
Great. Okay, great. Oh my God, happy MCO.
Happy MCO. I'm wearing my house, this is my house uniform, my pagoda singlet.
Mm-hmm.
And my shorts.
Don't worry, I'm in my bedroom, as you can see.
Yeah. Joe, you brought me to your bedroom.
Yes, this is my bedroom. Well, this is part of it. Don't see anything else because everything else looks like junk. I've got nails on one side, tarot cards on one side, alcohol on the other side, wigs in the other corner. Yeah. You get lost in my cupboard. But here's the thing. Oh my God, everyone's very excited because what do you call it? I think a lot of people who haven't caught up with you in the last couple of years don't know that you've gone from, being a host, being a travel agent to not travel agent.
No, I'd love to be a travel agent.
We can't. Travel show host to actually right now being a hypnotherapist and a life coach. And this is rather recent, right? In the last perhaps 8 years? Was it 8 years?
Yeah, since sort of 2014, 15 is when I actually kind of took my jump over the other side.
It is funny, but I would think that a lot of people would want to be coached by Asha Gill. Okay, before we get on to what you actually do as a life coach, and also I want to touch a little bit about hypnotherapy. It's something very new, and later on I want to know what do you use hypnotherapy for, but let's find out about everything else that's going on in your life. So now that you're fully in Malaysia, okay, you've set up shop here. What do you miss most about your old self, or have you come to enjoy this new serene person that you've become? Well, I don't think you're very serene.
I'm not serene in the slightest. I am a lot more chilled out than I used to be, but I don't think I'll ever be serene. No Zen Asha, except when I'm sleeping. Maybe I'm quiet and serene when I'm sleeping. That's about it. Yeah.
Are you okay to talk about your son?
Yeah.
That's 13 in this year, right?
He just turned 13. He's like 3 inches taller than me. And now he's calling me short ass. Here, Mom, let me get that for you. Here, Mom, let me do that.
So he's almost as tall as you. You're already very tall,
No. He's 3 inches taller than me.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, my daughter is 15 now, and I still remember when we were first doing Capital FM
many lifetimes ago.
So my session was in the morning. Asha's would be at 10 o'clock when she comes in, and she talk about auntie stuff like cooking with her or something.
Very auntie stuff. Still am auntie.
Okay, so that was our Capital FM stint, and I remembered it was during school holidays, and my daughter Jade was at that time about 6 years old, about 6 to 7 before standard 1, right? 6 years old, and we decided to put her in the kindergarten that your son John was already there, and they became very fast friends to a point that they bought babies. I mean, like not real babies, like those toy babies together. You remember?
Yeah.
They were in the same house.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Those were the days. Yeah, our kids are growing up too fast, too fast. How do you deal with puberty with John? Because I've had my fair share. Mine has turned like, you know how it is when she was little, she was so friendly, right? She
Yeah.
was so friendly, she was so talkative. And of course, when her period came, when she became a young lady, everything changed. Mine just, completely went to bed Billie Eilish within overnight.
That's not a bad thing.
Oh yeah, Billie Eilish, right? So what about your son now? Now that he's 13.
That the interesting thing is that, with the hormones comes that I am my own person. I am an autonomous being. I have thoughts. I have my own ideas. I want to do my own way. Even if I'm going to, hit the wall doing it that way, it's my way. And I'm pretty hands off. I'm like, okay.
Oh, so you're now hands off, because we used to be so hands on before. I mean, not me, but I know you were very hands on.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel having to release that, release him to his own devices, so to speak?
I guess the thing is, what I've always had in him is trust in him. Like, I trust him. And I trust him always to make the decision that seems to be the best one. And as with all of us grown-ups, we do the same, and we still F up and we still screw up, right? So, it's like that's just the starting point. And I think that with him, he always has sound reasoning why something should be this way, or we should do that, or whatever. And when someone's got sound reasoning, you realize they've actually thought it through. And who's to say that their way isn't better than your way, for example? So this, it's not that I'm hands off as in, completely leave, live with, go with your own devices. But there is that thing where, I have to understand that, like when I'm angry and I get shouty, when I'm overwhelmed, I'm in overwhelm and I'm had a terrible day, I get shouty, and I'm not angry at him per se, or the dog, though usually I am angry with the dogs, but I'm just out angry. Of filter, right? Okay. And so you have to recognize that all the things that we feel and think, they're actually feeling the same, because they're human beings. They're so whenever there's a massive issue, whatever, you don't diminish it. You just, if they want to talk to you or they don't, it's kind of like you have to just let that happen and know that even though I hate you may come out, it's not I hate you. It's I don't know how to get through this, over this, around this. I just hate, full stop, and kind of leave. So there are times when you're just like, I just can't deal with any more today as the parent, but invariably you do, because so I guess that's kind of.
Yeah, I guess, well, in the beginning you say it's all about trust as well. You need to trust them enough, because eventually they're going to leave the nest, mine sooner than yours. I'm already prepping her for college, right? And they need to start doing things on their own. And I just realized the differences, between this era, this generation, this era, and when we were kids. I mean, like right now, this era, information is out there. It's so fast, right? Within a click of a handphone, they can find out. And you can't lie to them anymore. Like last time, our mothers would lie to us, like, oh, if you don't eat the red yolk of the egg, you do not love your mother. So I used to get that when I was a child. It's like, oh, when you finish your half-boiled egg, you must finish the egg yolk and the white egg, because the white egg is your father and the egg is your mom. I'm like, what bullshit is this? If I tell Jade now, she'll like look at it and she'll come back, well, actually,
Hashtag by the way.
By the way. And you know how it is, like our parents used to guilt trip us. It's like when we don't want to do things, right? When they don't want to do things our way, because it has to be like, oh, you have to do it our way, right? Like sometimes we don't trust them in doing it their way, and then you get angry. And I think this was one of the classic that my mom will always tell me to make me feel guilty. It's like, how dare you not, listen to your mother, you were in my stomach for 8 months, and this is where you come out, you had to come out from here, which of course you point to your vagina or your nether region, your southern region, right? So I try to use that same concept on Jade, and then she has the nerve to turn it around and say, technically, it's not your vagina because you have a C-section, so it's stomach.
Yeah. They burn well, this generation. They burn well, and their saltiness is quite admirable, I have to say, because it comes with a lot of thought. There's a lot of depth towards the saltiness that comes from it.
There's a lot, and well, they were brought up in a better environment, I would say, than perhaps we did. So now let's talk about your life coach and hypnotherapist. So for those of you who do not know, Asha is a full-fledged life coach and of course hypnotherapist. And if you want to check her site out, over there, www.ashagill.com. Now, you were talking to me about managing the mind, especially our minds, during this period, this stressful period. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's ending. Every day we're getting new, instructions. One day is you can visit your family as long as there's 20 people. Another one's like, yes, you can visit your family, but stay away from your grandparents, So every day something new is coming up. I don't even know whether we are even allowed after 7, although my friend did say, now you can go out later. So how do we ensure that our mind mentally is still strong enough to get through this period, because it looks like this period is going to be extended for quite a while?
This is a super uncertain time, and we've not had an example of this happening in the past where we can kind of go, well, it could be this amount of time, or blah blah blah. So I think that we're all in the same ocean, but we're not all in the same boat. There are a lot of people out there who are super struggling, and it is an extraordinarily difficult time. And I guess the thing that I'm working with my clients with, because I was working with a lot of clients in certain areas, and this whole thing happened, and of course the focus then changes to how we manage ourselves to get through this. Because the truth is, we have zero control in the situation. But we do have control over certain things. And when we put our focus towards what we can control, we have the saying, it's that where your focus goes, your energy flows. When you actually turn and put your focus to what you can control, you will find yourself in a much more helpful state of mind. So I have this thing where, the idea of being super positive or super, strong or whatever seems to me much more of an effort than actually just making your mind, your thoughts, your perspective helpful to you.
Well, one thing which I noticed, of course, like because you mentioned super positive and all that, now is the time where even though we know we need to be positive, sometimes a lot of us are really not okay. I read a wonderful Facebook trend the other day talking about just a close personal friend on Facebook just mentioned, everybody's telling you to be strong, keep positive, be strong, keep positive. But some of us are in an area where it's quite dark, and asking for help or even being not okay to address a situation could be healthier for you than to put on the mask that everything's going to be all right. What do you feel about things like that? That should we be okay to not be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the whole thing. For me, when I'm working with my clients, and I'm working with myself, everything that I'm doing with my clients, I have to do it myself, especially in these times. There are days where I get overwhelmed myself, and I then have to switch into the self-coaching mode. And it's not about, looking towards to being totally positive or totally strong, but it's exactly what you're saying. And it's about, how can I be most helpful to myself? Helpful doesn't lie. Helpful is just getting your perspective a little bit shifted so that you can still, have your worries and concerns, but at the same time, you can be okay and even kind of good.
Okay.
So it's almost like having that sort of duality of, you can hold both things in the same, at the same time. When your mind is helpful to you. And there are a few ways that you can direct your focus to what you can control so that you are being most helpful to yourself, be it physically, emotionally, or mentally, or spiritually.
Okay. All right. Now, you mentioned physically, mentally, and spiritually. So I reckon those are three separate entities that we need to look after, especially for ourselves. Well, what would you say to someone who doesn't know they're mentally at war with themselves? Sometimes, like, I often doubt myself, or rather there's self-doubt, or the fact that because there's the jobs right now, you need to transfer everything to a different medium, events and entertainment doesn't seem like it's going to revive anytime soon this year, so all this negativeness and all that, it affects me mentally, not physically, but that mental state is enough to kind of make you want to give up. What kind of exercise, or how would you refocus the mind to ensure that it doesn't affect you too physically as well?
Okay, so there are lots of different ways that you can do this, but I think that the first thing is having an awareness that we all think.
Okay.
We think we have like how many hundreds of thousands of thoughts in our heads every day, in our minds, right? But we kind of are blissfully unaware of that. Sometimes not so blissfully, but we're unaware of what we're actually thinking.
Okay.
Because if we were to be conscious about, like even just making a cup of tea, or pick up the mug, boil the kettle, like a lot of these things are more habitual and therefore not so conscious, because there are strategies that we already use. But there's still thoughts. We're still kind of guiding ourselves in that sense. But then there are the other kinds of thoughts that are the things we say to ourselves about something. So something happens and we're like, oh, this is a very stressful time. Then we might go, okay, so this is a very stressful time. Oh my God, I'm in shit. Oh my God, I'm not going to survive this. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh my God, I'm going to lose my home. Oh my God. You see how the thoughts we have start spiraling around something. And before you can sort of shift anything, is to have the awareness that you're thinking these things, and thinking these things the way you're thinking them is going to affect your feelings or to create feelings.
Okay. So basically, the first step is to be aware that these feelings exist.
No, be aware of what you're thinking. Be aware of your thoughts. So you just said something earlier, like, you doubt yourself. Okay? Yeah. That's a thought. That's a thought you have. That's not a fact, but that's a thought. So if you're thinking to yourself, I doubt myself, you're going to feel really shitty, because you're not going to be able to trust yourself. You're going to think, I'm not going to be able to get myself out of this. And it's not helpful to you. So if you were to be aware, I say this quite often, I doubt myself, I doubt I can do this. If you're aware of your doubting thoughts, if you just worked on shifting that slightly to something like, I'm not sure how I'm going to figure this out yet. Okay. It's saying the same thing, more or less, but it's saying it in a different way that doesn't make you shit on yourself or feel shitty.
Okay.
It's acknowledging, I don't know how to figure this out yet.
All right. Okay.
Exactly what you're saying, right? I doubt myself is, I'm not sure if I'm going to figure this out. But so say that. I'm not sure, what the solution is yet. And when you bring in words like yet into these statements that we believe to be true, I doubt myself. We think that that's true, right? We change that slightly and we bring in a word like yet. It kind of goes, okay, it's just for now, I'm not sure. But that, tomorrow or later or next week, I will, right? So it's these little things of just being aware that what we're saying to ourselves is creating feelings. So you're already worried about what's happening right now. Okay, you're already worried, and there's real cause to be worried. People are sick; they're dying. And it's a serious situation. So you're worried about that. You don't need to pile on the worry by shitting on yourself and having so many thoughts about what this means because you're already worried. Do you see what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of this jumble.
So it's just in terms of how you take that fear that you have and put it in a sort of a momentary perceptive, not how would I say, you tell yourself in a different way. It's the problem is still there, but when you put in like what you say, yet I don't know how to deal with this yet, it gives you a moment of relief that it's not achievable
Forever.
it's just at this time. But also when you say, okay, I'm not able to do this yet, it also gives you the ability to find out an answer in the future of how to solve it. Is that mainly what it is?
Basically what you're doing is you're creating kind of a space. This is an overwhelm. And so I say this to myself a lot, just the other day, I was sharing this last night in a workshop. I'm having a real issue with my dogs, taking them for a walk.
Okay.
Because there's a lot more dogs in the neighborhood and there was a fight. And so now my dog's becoming super overprotective and aggressive when it sees other dogs. So taking my dog for a walk is super stressful. And I'm making it worse. It's already kind of super stressful because he pulled me so much that I hurt my hip for like 3 weeks.
Dear.
At the beginning of MCO, and I was like in a lot of pain and I couldn't go to a doctor. And I mean, thankfully I had my migraine pills and stuff that helped. But it was like, so I was starting to repeat the cycle of dread of, I hate taking the dogs for a walk. I hate taking the dogs for a walk. I'm going to hurt myself, whatever. And I was just so stressed. I didn't even want to get up in the morning to go and take them. I'd have to. I'd hate it. And when I realized this is happening, because I'm a work in progress too, I only teach that which I need the most myself. When I realized that I was having this record player saying the same thing over and over again, and it was affecting me, I basically was like, what the started, okay, right. I'm not enjoying taking the dogs for a walk at the moment. I'm like, okay, at the moment, right. I haven't figured out a way to retrain this behavior yet. That's true. So I am going to keep on doing this and I'm going to research what I haven't tried yet in order to try and rectify this. Oh, suddenly I feel like I have space, I can breathe, I take them for a walk and I'm already primed. I'm accepting this is not necessarily going to be relaxing. However, I know I can control. I know what to look out for. I know the triggers. I know when he starts to realize there's another dog there. I know how to do this. And you start putting your focus on all the things you can do, you can control. And you just feel like, okay, this is something that I am doing, that I'm choosing to do, that I can do. And I'm going to do everything to make it more and more okay towards then enjoyable than it is now. And I just have to keep on at it. So I guess the other thing also is...
Okay.
Yeah. So being aware of what you're saying to yourself, catching it, going, is that helpful for me? Is it helpful for me to say, oh my God, I'm just going to fucking die in this situation right now? And I mean that metaphorically, is that helpful? No, it's making me feel terrible. What else can I say that's as close enough to the truth, but slightly different? And the other part to that is also focusing back, like with my dog story, on what you can control or what is working, because we often don't, with our kids, they're being good, we don't notice them. When they're being naughty, we scold them, right? So in the same vein, it's turning the spotlight back on what is working, in this case for us, and ignoring what isn't for now, because it just isn't working. That's fine. It's not working at the moment, but this is working. Our focus on this is, I don't know if you grew up playing this game, but we used to play this game. You're in a car on a car journey, and each color car had certain number of points, and the point was to be the winner accumulated of the highest points at the end of that car journey. And you're playing this thing, and say the red car is like 15 points. Wow, that's the mega one. Red and yellow is like gold. Okay, right. No red or yellow, and suddenly you see a red car. And as a result of paying attention and looking for the red car, you see the red car, but then this weird thing happens. More red cars start popping out because you're actively looking for something, and it is there, and you're noticing it. Like when you're pregnant, you never noticed pregnant women before. Suddenly you're pregnant, you're looking out for women, and everyone's pregnant. What? And that's not the case. It's the confirmation bias. So redirecting your focus on, I can't control this. I hate not being able to control it, but I can't control it. I don't know the answers, whatever. What can I control? I can control cleaning my house. I can control cleaning out this cupboard. I can control all these different things. I can control cutting my fringe. That's what I was doing. I cut my fringe. It looks good. I was like this, right? I was like, I can't see anything. I can control that. So I'm like, okay, let's do what I can control. And you know what? Those small wins, when you keep doing those small wins or things you can control, you're feeding the I'm okay part of you. And that's becoming bigger and reaching the worry part. So yeah, I'm really worried about what's happening. I'm really concerned. Like, if the schools reopen, I don't want to send my son back there, but they're not going to do online teaching anymore. So what's going to happen? Because I can't, at this moment, figure out how I'm going to homeschool as well as work. I don't have the solution yet. Let's wait. It's like you can be all worried because you're paying attention to the things that you can control that are creating space for you. Looking for the red car, right? Yeah. It has an effect.
Okay, so understanding that you need to refocus on things that you are capable and what you can control, and then the solutions will come in the way of when you examine what else can be done, right?
And let me ask you something, Joe. Like you and I, both of us are creative, but we're also scatty all over the place. You're super organized more than I am, right? But let me ask you something. Think back to a time when there was a big issue at hand. And the more you focused on it and try to figure stuff out, the more the answer or the solution escaped you. But when you stop thinking about that for a minute because you had something else to deal with or whatever, suddenly, because there's space between you and that thing, inspiration pops in. Or you think, oh, maybe I could try that. Because something completely unrelated makes you start thinking a different way. So when you're focusing constantly on a problem, it doesn't necessarily come up with a solution unless you're a scientist and you're repeating experiments to eliminate certain things, right?
At the same time.
Right.
A lot of scientists are doing that, so we let them worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. So you're shifting your focus to something else also creates a space. So I know that, like, if I'm in a very heightened state, this is my version of Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine is treat like with like.
Yes.
So when I'm feeling anxious and afraid, I watch a horror movie. Because I get so scared shitless watching it. I'm so tense. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so engrossed in this horror, the sci-fi thriller, or whatever is happening. I'm like, look behind you. That basically I'm treating like with like, and I end up burning off that enough that I can actually go to sleep. Or I'm like, okay, I feel almost cleansed and purged. Now that works for me. For other people, it's watching, funny movies and comedies and stuff like that. So it's how you nourish yourself, right? But for me, those things don't work. Horror movies, scare myself a different way works,
So for your clients, you were mentioning a lot of your clients have shifted their the issues or the problems that they want to highlight during this MCO period. How long does it take when it comes to your job in particular as a life coach? How many sessions would you say that a client needs to see you in order to change the perspective in their mind? And is it a long period, like through a couple of weeks, or what's the longest that you have had to coach a client?
The longest I've worked with anyone on a specific program, I guess it is programming on a specific program, because it is programming that we need to change, right? It's probably about sort of 3 months, because my aim is like, when I work with somebody, it's like, I'm going to give you the tools. I'm going to share with you exactly what I do, what I've learned works, what I like very much, what works for me here in these situations, what works for me that. Correct. And walk you through it, and we get to a certain point where the perspective starts shifting, the focus starts shifting, and then it's like, sayonara, you're on your own. You have the tools, because the truth is, it's the person who makes it work, not the coach.
So, and it's I guess the coach is there to make you realize that you do have those answers to your questions that that you've been asking over again. It's just that you don't know how to, perhaps you don't know where it's to open up to be acceptable to the answers. So that's where you come in, to help them navigate their mind to the different perspective and options that they have in their hand. It's like what you say. It's just redirecting. It's like, oh, don't focus on this, focus on that. Now, do you use hypnotherapy in your sessions, or well, how do you introduce hypnotherapy? And you yourself, do you think, how effective is hypnotherapy in situations?
I think it can be very effective, because we're the problem. We get in our own way. The conscious mind, right? So the unconscious mind is the massive operating system that is running everything.
Take us through a sample of what is needed for hypnotherapy to work. Is it just one session? Does it take a couple of sessions in order for the mind to, what is exactly?
Honestly, it completely depends on the person and what you're working on.
Okay. Meaning?
Well, some things.
Okay, let's take, for example, something very simple: smoking.
Okay, smoking is actually not simple. Smoking is a very layered thing, because, for example, if someone comes to me and is like, I want to give up smoking, can you work with me on giving up smoking? The question would be like, do you want to give up? Or do you think you should give up? I should give up. So then you're dealing with I should give up, which is basically saying, I don't really want to, but I should. It's the right thing to do. So there already you have what I call, and I think I learned this from you actually, a cock blocker to your own change. Right?
So you cock block
you cock block yourself, because it's like, it's not I want to, I'm ready, but it's I should. And I should is always like, I'm not really that.
Yeah, actually, I don't want to give up. Right. I don't want to give up carbs, but I should give up carbs.
Right. So then you're like, well, the thing is, again, it goes back to the client. It's like, when it's something you want and you're ready for, things are very different to when it's something that you feel is an obligation or you should, because that's not you making the decision. It's coming from an external source. My wife, my mom tells me I need to give up. That's not you coming to me saying, I want to give up smoking. You're here because you're expecting me to perform a magic miracle with my magic wand of hypnotherapy, take you down a wonderful long guided meditation sort of thing and fix you, because you think you're broken and I can fix you. So you're not even taking responsibility for your own problem.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because people are so new to hypnotherapy, that's what they assume. Like if they go and see a hypnotherapist, you can hypnotize the issue out of me, but that's not it either. So perhaps you can give us some sample and tell us what it really is.
Okay, hypnosis is a state that we all naturally experience pretty much
Mm-mm.
every day. So
Yeah.
daydreaming is a hypnotic state,
Okay.
because hypnosis is just a state where your focus is somewhere else on something else. So daydreaming, you could be
Mm-mm.
daydreaming about how you're going to secretly get away with murdering your husband. You could be daydreaming about, winning the prize for whatever it is. You're driving along the road and you're daydreaming. Your
Yeah.
unconscious mind, your operating system keeps you safe and gets you there to the traffic light. Suddenly you like, what? And because your mind was somewhere else, so your focus is off somewhere else.
Mm-mm.
You're zoned out. Some people say it's like being zoned out. Okay, you're
Mm-mm.
zoned out, but you're thinking. So it's not an absence of thought. It's not a sense of I'm not in control,
All right.
right?
Yeah.
The person is always in control because you experience it all the time. Like you're watching a movie or reading a book, someone's
Yeah.
calling your name, and they
Mm-mm.
have to call your name quite a few times before you're like, what were you calling me? You can hear it in the distance, but you're not registering it because you're zoned into the movie or the book. You're elsewhere.
Mm-mm. Okay. Okay. So in that aspect, because okay, in that aspect, when you use hypnotherapy in with your clients, do you find that it's more accessible, like they get it, or it will take a bit of time as well?
I think, well, I've had wonderful experiences with hypnotherapy and using it with my clients. I don't use it straight away for the first session. I
Mm,
believe that part of something like that as a treatment being effective is that person trusting you. So having an experience of a coaching session with me, one or two first before we do it. And there are ways to actually do hypnotherapy interactive with the eyes open, because it's all about language. It's all about just shifting perception slightly. It's all about getting your conscious mind out of the way, because all of our systems, we are running programming all the time.
yeah.
How we brush our teeth, how we walk places, what we do, it's all programming. We're just not even aware of it because it's become habit. Driving a car, once
Correct.
upon a time we couldn't, now we can. Now, when we first learn, we have to think about it. Then it gets stored way back in the unconscious mind because we don't need to worry about that anymore. Delete from this memory because
Yeah.
this memory is quite small, right? Delete,
Yeah.
park it somewhere else. So the unconscious mind is where the operating systems go. That is where the strategies go for everything we do, the beliefs that we have, to make
Mm-mm.
much faster change. If we can actually make it happen there or cause a disruption in that somehow there, we're bypassing the conscious mind, because the monkey mind's always like, it's like
Right.
this thing. Yeah.
Blocks.
Eat 5 ice
Yeah.
creams. Yeah. Eat 5 ice
It
creams. Who
blocks.
cares? Eat 5 ice creams. Go ahead.
It blocks.
You know,
Well, here's the thing: for hypnotherapy to work, does your client need to believe in it first?
no.
So they can be full on skeptical, and then you could suggest to them that you want to try this, and they could like, no, I do not believe in this. This is bullshit. You know what crap it is. But because I'm already in this program, yeah, I'll allow you to hypnotize me. Have you had clients like that?
I've never had that. I've had people who are skeptical because it's new. Like, what is
Yes.
this? Tell me about it. But when they understand that actually it's really like daydreaming, that's all it is. We do it naturally. It is a brain wave state that we naturally do. Like when we're just dropping off to sleep or just waking, that twilight zone where we hear everything around us, but we're somewhere else. We're still chasing the end of that dream, or
Mm-mm.
it's sort of that sort of dream state. We all have it. So I've never had someone go, I don't believe it works
Okay.
yet.
Okay, that's great because yeah, we've I think we've covered quite a bit on your session, I
But
mean,
I haven't become good enough to be a hypnotist to steal people's money or make them cluck like a
yeah,
chicken. I'm working on it though.
I was going to ask you, okay, are you able to hypnotize someone into giving you their bank account number?
I try it with all my clients. I try it with everyone I meet. I'm still not there yet. No, I'm kidding.
Have you tried hypnotherapy with your son?
He absolutely refuses. He's like, you're not my therapist. If I need a therapist, I'll find somebody that's just for me, which I think is healthy because family members shouldn't be treating family members, and he finds when I've practiced some sort of deepening sequences with him, he finds them super boring because he's very much like me. Like when I go for a hypnotherapy session or with my peers to practice, I cannot handle the long meandering relaxation part of it because I have like a mental blindness. I can't visualize. I can't see with my mind's eye, so it's torture for me. So for me, it's like all you have to do is to go, okay, sit down, close your eyes, da 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 da, and I'm already like, whoo, I'm there because I can't visualize. I don't need that thing. I just tell myself, this is what I want to happen. This is where I want to go, and it's boom. Whereas other people love that long sort of meandering.
Get you into the
very
mood.
Relaxing. It's super relaxing.
Put on the music
for them.
The darkened room. Put some Young Living oils there.
Oh God, I don't even bother going that far.
You're like, okay, let's get into it. Yeah. You're like instant. It's like instant. Well, it's well, I guess it serves its purpose. Oh, okay. So Jemima Mustafa, is she one of your clients? If you haven't had a session with Asha, I highly recommend it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't had your session. I'm just your friend, I've been talking to you all this time about life coaching and hypnotherapy. I haven't even had any session with you. But okay, what's very interesting is I remember a couple of years ago, you did say that you're also concentrating on children as well. Do you still do life coaching for children with behavior issues? Sorry.
I do. I still do kids.
Mm-hmm.
I love doing kids. I do kids over Skype so that they're in their family home. So that hasn't changed much with MCO. But I don't advertise for that. I think that, with kids, first and foremost, any child that I work with has to want to work with me. Because again, it goes for the same thing. I'm here because my mom told me to. That's not how it works.
Thank you, Pasri. Pasri just said, love you, Asha. Love you too, Joanne. So, so children with behavior issues, they can be.
It's more, actually, it's not so much behavioral issues, but it's more phobias. Like I work a lot with people with phobias. So phobias can be really debilitating and cause behavioral issues. Because if you have a phobia about something, say it's a lift, you're not going to get in that lift. That's not a behavioral issue per se in that respect. It's
a phobia issue.
Phobia, right? So when you work with the phobia, that problem behavior of not ever wanting to get into the lift, and I say problem behavior in the loosest, most generic term. I don't mean I consider it problem. But it's problematic in the sense that if you're in a mall and you need to be in the lift and there's no escalators working, it's a problem. You know what I mean? So I work a lot with kids who are going through that sort of.
Can you give us some example? Because there could be parents out there who may find this educational and also interesting. Can you give us a few examples of how you have helped kids with different phobias that they have?
So here's what I found that's interesting is that, for example, I had a phobia about cockroaches.
Okay. I
And
think everyone has that, Asha.
no, this was a phobia. Like, no,
You're
this is a phobia because I tell you, like, there was one time there was a cockroach in my kitchen. This was many years ago before my son was on the scene. And I literally called up my bestie, Susan. You have to come around and get rid of this cockroach. And I literally, in the middle of my kitchen floor, I had thrown a Tupperware on it. And then I had a pile of books about 12 books high to
okay.
stop it escaping, and the damn thing wouldn't die. And so she was like, this is hilarious. I'm not coming around. I'm like, but you have to. Sue used to come and help me on a lot of spots and things like that. But when we were training to do all these different techniques and stuff, I can say that I don't have that fear anymore, but I don't like them. So I'm not going to go up and want to kiss a cockroach.
Of course not.
I still don't like them, but I'm not paralyzed. And what was really sort of difficult for me was, it wasn't that I was so afraid, but I would start to retch. Like,
oh my God.
Vomit.
Okay.
So that was like made me panic even more, because involuntarily I would start to just, like, as if I was going to retch, right? So totally inconvenient. You see a cockroach in a restaurant or even at home, and it's suddenly like, it's like, and like, what are you supposed to do with that, right? So it's gotten me to the point now, obviously, if I carried on working with my colleague, I would maybe even lose a dislike, and I'd be like indifferent. But I'm totally happy with where it is right now, because I don't need to like cockroaches. So I preface what you're asking in the sense that sometimes it's just lessening it to the point that I still don't like that, but it doesn't bother me the way it doesn't bother me, or it doesn't bother me the way it was. It's gone. So some of the things have been flying. Lifts is one of them. Dark.
The dark, especially when they have to migrate to their own, what do you call this, rooms as well.
But with that, you have to also be careful, because that's to do with sort of, separation. That's to do with change. So it might not necessarily be the dark. So this is why these kind of things are, you have to get to the root of what it really is before you can do anything about it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why sometimes it takes some time, and I don't mean like a long and inordinate time, but some time to kind of figure out, okay, well, what's really kind of behind this, or what's triggering this, and working on it.
Do you work longer sessions with children or adults? I mean, which children or adult, which ones do you feel that are more susceptible?
Kids.
I think it's the word.
Kids. Yeah,
kids,
because
not adults.
Okay, obviously there's always an exception to the rule, but in my experience, kids always want to feel better. They don't like feeling shit. It's only as we get to adults that there's a buyout to feeling like shit. It's like, oh, woe is me. Let me tell you my drama story, or I'm so sad, or whatever. I'm not putting people down with this, but like, we hold on to
our grief,
right?
Whatever it may be.
Yeah, because it's a part of us. It's become our thing. It's our story. So it's like, it's hard to let go, because it's like identity is all wrapped up in that. But kids, they're just like, I feel like shit. I don't want to feel like shit. I'm ready. Let me get rid of it. So even when you do something and you work to a certain degree with them, a lot of the kids I know still use the things I suggest when they find themselves in a situation where, they're anxious again, or they're feeling a little bit afraid or whatever. They'll go back and gravitate to use the tools I got, because, we need to understand that we cannot control things that happen. There is always going to be things that happen around us that make us feel anxious, afraid, whatever. You can't remove that fear or that anxiety from the body totally, because that's also part of what keeps us safe if we get chased by a T-Rex,
Yeah.
Should we ever get chased by a T-Rex? So it's like, what can we do is actually learn tools and recognize, oh, I'm feeling this. I can do something about it, which is super empowering, because when you realize that I can do something about it, I can feel less shit. I may not feel great, but I can feel less shit. I opt for less shit. So kids are actually really like, yes, I want to feel better. I don't want to feel this way. Whereas adults, when we get to sort of mid to late teens, that's when it starts.
We just hold on to everything. It takes more for us to break free from all the negativeness that we want to engage ourselves in. So that's good. Have you ever worked with abused children before?
No, there are lines and that I do not cross, and that is, I'm not a trained psychologist.
Okay.
This is the domain of the people who are specifically trained to handle this. So no, that is not my domain whatsoever. Yeah.
All right. So for those of you
and I
who
don't
want
have the setup. I don't have the setup in terms of, a secure space with the cameras, with an assistant there, because when you're dealing with children, and when you do, which is why I do a lot of work with kids on Skype.
Okay. It's easier. It's more accessible, you say?
But it's also them feeling safe. It's them feeling safe, them having an adult there with them. So at the moment, I don't, I don't have any more an office space or whatever, or someone there, so that there's always somebody else around. You have to make sure that with children, they're safe.
Okay.
Always, and they're always comfortable. So, yeah, on Skype, mom can be in the next room, or there, it doesn't. There's no danger of anything because the doors are open. Everything can be heard. They're in their own house.
Okay, so right now with your coaching session and all that, I guess you've transferred everything online. Before that, did you go and see your clients face to face?
Yeah, actually, I do a lot of my coaching over breakfasts, lunches, because the way that I work is it's not a clinical setting per se. I don't sit there and take notes. I'm not your therapist. I'm a coach. So I'm your collaborator. So we do it.
Let's go for lunch, and then you do a session with them. So now with MCO and all that, so you can't exactly go to their house for lunch. So do you guys go onto Skype and eat while talking?
No, we don't eat on Skype, unfortunately. We should do that. Bring your own food to the party. No, we don't do that. But we
should bring your own alcohol to the party. Bring a daytime margarita.
Yeah, no. Anyway, cheers.
I just iced lemon tea.
Yeah, no, mine's just ice water. You see my sadness in my face.
No, I only saved the single malt for my night session. So now I guess you do everything on Skype, right?
Skype,
for the last
Microsoft Teams, yeah. I'm open to every platform. I don't say no to any platform.
Don't say that, because someone will be out there looking at a dating platform and hoping that you'll be there.
Oh yeah, no, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so for those of you who want to know more about what Asha does, you can check her out. As you can see, her website is very obvious. www.ashagill.com. So
or Instagram, they can connect me via Insta.
Okay, via Insta is the real Asha Gill, because there's a fake Asha Gill like everyone else.
That happened at Capitol. Do you remember that, Joe?
Yeah, you were so upset because you couldn't get your Instagram account back. Facebook. Someone else has gone in and registered as you. See, this is what happens. This is how we know that you're so famous that other people have created a fake account just for you. You were like so upset about it. I remember I was like, I cannot get my Instagram.
And the tragedy was that everyone was like, right after Facebook, right after these people, show them your ID. And of course, being a Malaysian, I have Asha Anang Gill, anak perempuan Paramjit Sim Gill. So when you go, yeah, my name really is Asha Gill, they're like, what is this? Blah, 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 A/P. What is this? Param, whatever name. It's like, honestly, yeah, so.
So it is the real Asha Gill. You're not on Facebook, right? But IG, just follow the real Asha Gill. And yes, please do check her out. Check what she's doing. It's very inspiring to always know that if I feel really shitty about myself, I just call you, Asha.
Yeah.
Then you help me shift my perspective. And it is, though. I mean, right now, the only thing that we can do for ourselves is basically shift our perspective and ensure that our mental state of mind is strong enough to help us through this next 6 to 7 months. I mean, solutions will come, but you need to ask the right questions, right?
Right, exactly. That's how Google works, right? If you don't have the right question, you come up with crap search results from Google. It's the same way with us. We just need to be as helpful as we can.
That's why children is easier for you to work with, because they are very like direct. Okay, ask the right question and Google will give you the right answers. Whereas I think as adults we go about like we do other things. And you're right about letting go of our insecurities and our fears. So we surround ourselves with all this I can't, I'm not able to, that we forgot. Sometimes you can't do it right now and you can do it later on. It's just telling yourself to give yourself that moment of break to let answers come in, right? Like what you say. If you ask the right questions, the answers that you are looking for will come in. But if you keep focusing on the fact that, okay, I hate doing this, it's never gonna end, right?
Yeah. So, and here's one last thing about questions, Joe, that is like really helpful. Forget any question that starts with a why.
Oh, so don't ask, for example, why am I upset? Let's just say a simple one. So don't ask why.
Yeah.
Be aware, like what you say, be aware that you are upset about this.
So it's like, what is upsetting me? Not why, but what is upsetting me is a little bit better than why am I upset? Because, why begs a story, whereas what, how, or when, or for what reason, those kinds of things demand a sort of a deeper sort of thinking. So you stop with the stories. Why am I so upset? Oh, the filler, with this whole thing kind of, that's why,
Well, I think as a child, we were taught why a long time before what. So now as adult, perhaps instead of asking why, like what you say, ask what, and then it will come true. Well, obviously, you have people here who either are your fans or are your clients. Paloma Sham also says, Asha is magic. She's so good at what she does. I'm forever grateful for her guidance.
Thank you, darling. Thank you, sweetheart.
So if you
amazing, that woman.
If you want any more questions with Asha, just go and check her out on her website and also Instagram. That's how they can contact you, right? And
yes, absolutely. Sorry, my dog's barking in the background.
We're about to end this session, and your dog comes in.
Yeah, exactly. Shut up, Indy. Shut up. Sorry.
You have to take him for walks later, okay?
Actually, that's true. I do.
All right. It's so good to see you, babe, and all the best. And let's catch up soon once MCO is over and see how big our 2 kids have grown up too.
We'll go makan. All right, darling. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Bye.
Get our app, AFO Radio.